You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver.
What the hell is that?
Podcast.
Hi, everybody. It's the P3 Podcast. I had an elaborate opening. It was awesome. It's gone now. Dead, lost in recording that will never be. So, Tiger Bomb Tom, Poot the Bard, Beef the Legend, Alec Ransom, we're here to talk about wrestling. Kevin Owens is frustrated with WWE. He ain't the only one. Go.
that was perfect. And for anyone listening, it's my fault. My computer decided to just shit all over the room. So that's a thing.
It's a big boy. Mom!
Yeah, my computer went, Poot, bathroom, terabytes.
$49.99 donations would be appreciated so that we could get some quality equipment to record this podcast on.
That would be
Start sending them in, or guess what? We're going to have mediocre intros and what the hell is happening on this podcast moments every damn day of the week.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of how we roll, though, so I was going to say, yeah, exactly.
That's all right. Well, anyway,
we had a discussion about how Kevin Owens is frustrated with WWE. Who knows if we're going to go back and rehash the whole damn thing.
It was probably the best discussion we've had in this podcast, really.
I mean, best one ever.
What a
and
disaster.
Here, my computer
Come on, Tom.
The computer.
Never.
You know what my computer did? It just decided to strong arm, and it was just like, you know what? This content's way too good for the podcast. This is too thoughtful, insightful, and knowledgeable. Nah. Go back to being stupid, you idiots.
So let's be stupid. Yeah, I mean, so Kevin Owens reportedly, we're not going to go through everything, but reportedly Kevin Owens is unhappy with his current direction. Who can blame him? There's not a lot of long-term booking. Here's another facet that I think of. Like, you remember when COVID, I'm going to say when COVID was in its height, like it's not in its height right now. But remember whenever everybody actually cared about COVID for a hot minute, and Taz talked about the WWE being a shit show. I feel like Kevin Owens really takes the whole, like, hey, let's try not to get COVID seriously. And as a result of that, and as a result of WWE being like, hey, let's play fast and loose with everybody's, lives and families and everything. Like, I feel like that probably didn't do a lot of good for Kevin Owens' morale at that point, and maybe it's still recovering at this point. That's just a thought.
Yeah, it could be. And like we've mentioned before, just creative-wise, there's a whole lot of, like, not connecting the dots. Like, how did we get from point A to point F? We skip B, C, D, and E in the middle there, and just a lot of stuff doesn't flow and doesn't make sense. So I'm not surprised if this report's true, and I don't blame Kevin Owens for being frustrated with his direction or just the direction of creative in general if it's outside of him. Because obviously, like, I mean, you do make some friends in the industry, and I'm sure it's not easy watching any of your good friends go through shit, and it's just like, wow, why are they just like, you see so much potential in somebody, and you know how good they are if you've befriended them and worked with them over the years, and to see them not get pushed and not get their just desserts and everything like that, like, that's got to be frustrating there too. So
I mean, I feel like, and how long have we been saying this for years, but on the podcast as well, that WWE needs a from the ground up revamp, just wholesale.
Yeah, I mean, it's they do have glimmers of hope and things that they do good, but again, there's a lot of like, just it doesn't connect and doesn't flow well together. And like I had said on the recording that never was, you would and we've said it before in the past, you would think WWE would want to do all that they can to kind of keep their performers happy when there are viable options for them to go pursue, regardless if they would make as much going to, like, say, an NWA or an Impact. Well, they can go, and then they can, they could hop from one promotion to the next and negotiate more money from wherever they go to, regardless if it's WWE or not.
What's the average pay for does anyone know off the top of their head the average pay for someone in like an Impact or something like that?
Not a friggin' clue.
$49.99.
It probably depends on.
Let's say about
Impact
$350.
Yeah, like I think RVD's probably getting a heavy amount, because he's RVD, and I think so. Right now, it's a weird fucking time because it's wrestling in the time of COVID, but like in theory, Impact offers something that a lot of other places don't offer. Not a lot of touring. Or like even New Japan, yes, they tour, but like Japan's not that huge, so it's not like they're going, 7 hours away. The touring is fairly local and fairly low key. With WWE, you're all over the fucking country.
Right.
And AEW, when they were touring, was also all over the place. They weren't doing. I don't think they weren't really doing dark shows.
Oh yes,
but
the
they
shoes.
were.
Yes.
Dark shoes.
But they're
doing,
only on TV. They're only on TV one night a week.
Is that the antithesis to Red Shoes beef?
Yes, it is. Good old Dark Shoes Dumino.
Well, there's something else. We didn't talk about it last week, but it was kind of a hot button topic.
Because nobody cares, Tom.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I fucking care. Shut your mouth. Wait, hold on. Let me channel my inner Ransom. Hold on. Let me get a drink. Listen, Beef, I don't care if you have that stupid fucking paper championship. You shut your cocksucker and quit being interrupting Beef Driver, Beefcast, Beefsburg, Beef, blah, blah, blah. Anyways.
You, sir, no ransom. Go on.
If you went to the dollar store and bought Alec Ransom, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go. I'll take it. Still better than the... Anyways. Something we didn't talk about last week was the controversy that was getting brought up. Everybody bitching about the performers and not being able to do like third party things like the cameos and doing their Twitches and stuff like that. I don't know what your guys' opinions on it are, but I would say that's something that these wrestlers need to like look into and negotiate it into their contracts going forward in the future. Because like right now, you're in a time where maybe some people, they're not getting their merchandise sale and stuff because they're not, having people coming into the venues and stuff. So they have to supplement that income some way. So if somebody goes and does a cameo appearance or, has a Twitch channel or whatever, I would say as long as, and it also depends on like what the contract says, but I would say as long as they're not portraying their WWE character, as long as they're not saying like, oh, like if it's Lana saying like, hey, this is Lana, blah, 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 as long as she says, hi, this is CJ, whatever, and she does that, I personally don't see like why they would make such a big deal about it.
I think the issue apparently that they're worried about is not so much them using IPs, because they could AJ Styles could say, hey, this is Alan Jones, a.k.a. AJ Styles, he could do that. A lot of places do that. But what they're worried about is their talent talking about the behind-the-scenes stuff that's not the behind-the-scenes stuff that we see.
Yeah.
Like they're worried talking about like really sensitive details, possible storyline spoilers, like bad-mouthing writers and producers. Like they're worried about that. They're worried about. I think they're worried about like quote unquote secrets getting exposed. Because I'm not going to say break kayfabe because kayfabe is buried in dead.
I think there's something else. I don't think it's that. Poot, sorry to jump in, Tom. I don't think it's that. I think realistically, it's about protecting the brands that they've created and some of them they haven't necessarily even created, that they've just cultivated. So the thing that kicked us all off was Lana's fucking Bang energy drink commercial, which was hypersexualized as all energy drink commercials are because teenagers. So
jeez, that was a
whenever you're a
That's
company,
a delicious flavor.
it's my favorite.
Comes in a pink can.
whenever you're a company and you have sponsors, which we wouldn't know anything about. Just kidding. We love you, Tom.
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
Hurtful.
Whenever you're a company and you have paying sponsors, if that makes you feel better. And
I have something coming. You hold your beefcakes there.
okay. I'm
speaking
just
of
saying,
holding
like,
beefcakes, beef. What were you saying?
whenever you all have to worry about sponsors looking at your product and going, oh, I don't know, the last thing you want is somebody flashing their freaking hoots on Insta charts or whatever.
Their
so
hoots?
like
They're hoots. How
you heard
old?
me.
No, you're
You
either
sound like you
super.
haven't even touched a boob.
You're either
Hurtful.
you're either super young or super old using that term. I can't
I
figure
didn't-
out which.
That's
I
a
did it
Britney
for
term.
the jokes. Yeah, it is a Britney
Yeah,
term.
but
That's
see,
100%.
Brittany's on
know
another
where that
level.
comes
She's allowed to do that stuff. You, on the other hand,
That's true. My thought anyway is that like when you
What you're thinking
pride
about.
yourself as being a family friendly product, which is obviously what they're doing now to try and expand their market as big as they can, and then you have
Minus
something
the
like that
eye
going
gouging.
on. Well, yeah, that's minus that. Which I still think they should have done at the end with the having fucking like Mario waking up from the dream. Anyway, the bottom line is you can't say, oh yeah, we're a family friendly company, blah blah blah, whenever people are flashing their goodies all around, or people
Okay.
are going on Instagram and dropping F-bomb after F-bomb. Like you have to be careful about marketing and protecting those brands because WWE owns those brands, so that's why it's a thing.
I think there's something else to it too. That kind of ties in with the sponsors. Like I can understand if they have like stuff that's like no compete. Like say like they have Mountain Dew sponsoring the next like 3 pay-per-views, but AJ or Lana or whoever goes on Twitch or TikTok or something like that and is drinking a Pepsi. Well, then that creates a problem. So I get that, and if it's written into their contract, like. Then it's something that they're going to have to work around. And the way WWE contracts are, they're kind of fucky because technically all the performers should be considered independent contractors. But then, but some of the standards that WWE holds them to, they make them hold them to employee standards. And if they're going to be employees of WWE, that's something different altogether. But I think there's another reason that we might be overlooking why WWE doesn't necessarily want to let these people do this. When's the last time that WWE let any performer get themselves over besides the last one? I would say John Cena. So how many since then have they let the performer get themselves over?
I mean,
So they didn't let Zack Ryder get himself over, but he got himself over because that was kind of like the event of the not the event, but
okay, so Zack Ryder got himself over. Did WWE push him?
Well, they did, but it was in a very backhanded way. Like, I mean, like you can't.
Here you go, you bunch of jerks. Now shut up.
Yeah, and
that's what I'm saying.
There was a house show where, like, I mean, to be fair, they were in New York, but the entire show, the entire time, all people did was chant for Zack Ryder. They want Zack Ryder, so they were like, all right, go out there. Like, they begrudgingly did it.
And that's what I'm saying. Look at the superstar level, look at the level of superstardom that Zack Ryder obtained in the WWE, and look at the level of superstardom that John Cena obtained, or look at the level that Stone Cold or The Rock obtained. That if WWE doesn't create it, they don't let people really truly get themselves over. Those people might get over it in the eyes of the fans, but if WWE hasn't controlled it and cultivated themselves, they don't let it happen. And I think that's something they're afraid of, the performer getting bigger than the company. Because look at Rock. Like The Rock is synonymous with WWE, but he's bigger than WWE because he's gone on to do all sorts of stuff in Hollywood. Correct me if I'm wrong, he's one of, if not the highest paid actor currently, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, he has gone beyond the realm of WWE, and I think that's something that they don't want to see happen again, because it's they create a monster they can't control. Because like I said, if you look at it, like John Cena is really like the last of the Mohicans when it comes to somebody who got themselves over organically, and WWE let that person achieve that level of success that he did. You know what I mean?
As our resident stick in the mud, Ransom, what do you think about all this?
Wow.
B's not wrong. I don't know.
Gripping.
Yeah, I mean, this is fascinating, you fuckers. But I don't know. I feel like no one should be surprised at this point what WWE will and will not dictate that you can and cannot do. Like, this really shouldn't be a surprise, especially, least of all, to the talent. Honestly, I mean, it shouldn't. Look at everything WWE has done or has told their talent they can or can't do. Buried people who've gotten over on their own, like Zack Ryder.
And Sandow.
It should not come as a surprise that they would pull something like this. And I guess it all boils down to legalities.
Yeah.
If they can legally do it, well, you know what? Touche for WWE for being able to do that. If they can't legally do it, then someone needs to hire an attorney. One of the wrestlers needs to hire an attorney and say, hey, can this company tell me that I can or can't do this? And get a ruling on it. You know, if illegally, a judge or court finds that WWE can't dictate these types of things to their wrestlers, then they're free and clear to do whatever they want. But they should also be prepared for the fact that if it does come to that, if somebody does hire an attorney, does figure it out, and a court says, you know what, you can't tell people that they can't go on TikTok or Instaboob or, whatever the heck it is.
Oh, Instaboob. I want that one.
Yeah, Google it. Like if that turns out to be a legal court ruling.
Get on your flip phone and Google it.
If that turns out to be if that turns out to be a court ruling, then the talent should know, or they should expect, that just because somebody in a courtroom says, WWE, you can't tell them to not get on this thing and do this thing as themselves. Well, legally they can do it, but expect to be buried. Because one way or another, WWE is going to ensure that what they want happens. They either tell the wrestlers, you can't do this, and the wrestlers don't do it, or they tell the wrestlers, you can't do this, the wrestlers figure out legally they can, and they do it, but then they get buried. And other wrestlers see, like, Lana figured out that she could do this, but now she's getting, dumpster fired. So I'm not going to do it because I value my career over some social media platform. I think at the end of the day, regardless, WWE is going to get what they want.
And I think you
should know that. You should know that by now. If you're in this industry, you should know when you go to WWE, they control your life. Vince McMahon is God. If you don't believe it, you should wrestle somewhere else because that's the way it is.
I think it is really about, it does come down to control. And, speaking of things that are unfair to the wrestlers and things that could be changing because somewhat semi-influential people are talking about it now. Did you guys hear about what Andrew Yang said? I believe it was on Chris Van Vliet's
man,
interview.
He's the presidential candidate, right?
He was a presidential candidate.
Quote,
he's the one who was pushing for a
wrestling union.
Well, no, you're jumping the gun here, cowboy. Slow down.
Oh,
bang bang.
Beef. You know what? You are not Hangman Page. You are not here to do cowboy shit. Okay. So that
so saith the guy who says "Poot the Bard, baby."
Well, it's all right.
Yeah, you're no Adam Cole. It's okay.
It's a club. Skipper. It's a club. You wouldn't understand. You're not in the club. Anyway, so the thing that I was saying is he was the one that was pushing for a universal income. I think he was the one who posed the idea of a universal income. But anyway, he said that the reason that they don't have, like, the recent crackdown on all this stuff, like third-party earnings and everything, is, quote, for their plain effing greed. Plain fucking greed. And this is from Cage Side Seats, a quote from the interview. He said, it infuriated me because I know that WWE has to play it both ways for years. They're saying on one hand, you can't do anything without our say-so. We own you. But you're an independent contractor. We have nothing to do with your health, retirement, or any of the benefits that would accrue to an employee. And he goes on to say, so to me, you have to make a choice at some point. If you're going to control all these aspects of wrestlers or performers' waking life, then you should take some responsibility for that too, for that person in the bigger picture as well. They're putting their lives on the line, or their health on the line, their family life on the line all the time. They made Vince a billionaire, and the fact that he's still being so heavy-handed about their ability to make a simple buck on Cameo just struck me as so absurd and ridiculous and wrong. It's past time that someone calls Vince out for this, particularly because if Joe Biden, quote-unquote, and Kamala Harris win, that Andrew Yang might be in the position to do something about it. Now, that the last part is, him talking about his own interests. But the point remains true that, like, it really is simply like a double standard. It's saying, well, you can't do this, but we're not providing you anything. It's literally the whole having your cake and eating it too. He then called them out on their greed, saying that they have enough money, and this is just a portion. They have enough money where they're like investing in these football leagues and whatnot. The XFL failed again, which, to be fair, was not because it wasn't profitable. It was COVID. It was just bad timing. So so if you're a wrestler breaking your back and then WWE is like, oh, we can't afford you, you're fired. And it's like, well, you probably could have afforded me if you could have afforded to lose tens of millions of dollars on that debacle. The company's worth $3.3 billion. If your company's worth $3.3 billion, you're mistreating workers. That's just shameful. It's really shameful. So he's not wrong. That's the thing. He's absolutely not wrong with all these things.
He's not wrong in
said.
some things. He is, I feel like, a little bit wrong in other things.
But literally talking about this in a bubble, like taking his
the wrestling stuff,
like the wrestling
stuff. He's right on. Vince needs to make, but here's the problem though, is that right now the WWE is number one, the best. Regardless of our opinions, ratings and monies talk. And realistically, until somebody supersedes them with a better business model, WWE can stand there and go, you know what? You guys can sit here and snickle fritz all you want. But here's the real truth.
What is it with you and old folksy colloquialisms tonight?
I don't know, man.
Look, this takes me back to my previous comment of everybody knows that this is how WWE operates.
Yep.
This is no big secret. How many times and for how many years have we heard either direct from Vince or from other wrestlers about how Vince McMahon talks about reaching up for that brass ring, breaking that glass ceiling, reach up, grab that brass ring, run with it, blah, blah, blah. But then when you do, Zack Ryder, Vince doesn't like it because you weren't a Vince creation. So right there's a double standard that's been existing in WWE for time immemorial. So
they did create Zack Ryder. They did. Like, it's him. Don't have him homie.
The character, yes. But when they say reach up and grab that brass ring, work for it, do it. He did, but they didn't like it. They didn't like it because he did it on his own.
Only if we like it.
Follow the Vince McMahon brass ring path.
Yeah.
So
only if we
no
like
different
you,
with anyone else. Older. Yes, it's no different with anyone else. John Cena did the rap gimmick, like he came up with that idea on his own, according to legend. The prototype John Cena was going nowhere. He was gonna get fired. He was failing miserably.
He was half machine.
He just so happened to throw out this rap thing on a tour bus where other wrestlers were doing the same thing, and he was good at it. But the difference there between that and Zack Ryder is Zack Ryder got himself over on the internet. Doing Zack Ryder things, Long Island IZ. He got himself over on the internet, on a separate platform. John Cena got himself over with permission from Vince McMahon to use this wrestling rapper gimmick and he got himself over on WWE TV. So there's the split. There's the difference. You can't get yourself over on a separate platform. You have to get yourself over strictly in the WWE platform, because that's where people are going to watch.
If we're being real here, fucking Vince McMahon in the WWE owes Zack Ryder a lot, because what he was doing on YouTube and Twitter and everything else was straight up untapped by WWE at that point. WWE had focused on their Mondays and their Fridays, or maybe Thursdays at that point. They were focused on the TV product, and what Zack Ryder was doing on the internet was, and I'll say it, revolutionary. So when Long Island IZ, when the Z True Long Island Story got over like gangbusters, Vince and Co. went, wait, you mean we can use the internet to pad things and it might work out? And like that opened up a fucking deluge of shit from them. So to me, like, there it is.
Yeah, man.
Uppercut.
That uppercut. Oh man, we lost two uppercuts in the recording fail. The
uppercut.
So now we'll never know. There we go. My I forgot my fucking point. Oh, my point is that I think that it's all about whether they like you or not. But bottom line, like let's exactly what Rancip said. If you follow the path that Vince sets out for you and Vince sees dollar signs in you, sure, no problem. If Vince doesn't see a dime in you, then you're public enemy number one.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how hard you are with the crowd.
Yep.
If Vince doesn't see it, you ain't got nothing. Sorry, kid.
I don't. It just. It's so. It's such a shame, because if WWE let a longer length on the leash with wrestlers and with their programming, if they just relaxed a little bit, then I feel like a lot of these problems would sort themselves out. Sure, there are things that would have to be actively addressed and actively changed, but I really feel like a lot of these problems would sort themselves out naturally if the working environment was healthy.
I agree with that, and I think that's one reason why I'll say this before I head out. MJF, one of the best, if not the best heels in the business currently today, best on the mic, and they let him literally go out there and they tell him, go for the jugular every time. Like, why hold back? If he goes too far, I'm sure they'll tell him about it after the fact, and it's easier. Like somebody has said before, it's easier to apologize afterwards than to ask for permission to do something beforehand or whatever. So just go for it.
That's a Jericho quote about Vince McMahon, ironically.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, but I mean,
you're 100%. That's what Poot's saying. Like, sometimes you got to bet on the talent. Sometimes they're going to sit there and flounder like a fish. They come back through the curtain, and you have a nice old hand on by saying, okay, you know what, kid? That didn't go well. Let's try and fix it. Versus, here's the script for tonight. Like, get it down.
It's way too much control for Vince McMahon to let up. Mm-hmm. I mean, we all know that. We all know it's well documented, Jim Ross.
Uppercut.
That Vince McMahon doesn't like to lose control or to not have complete. He is the epitome of control freak. So to ask him to loosen up a little bit, let the line, loosen the line a little bit, like kind of let them try. That's not synonymous with Vince McMahon. He wants 100% control. This is his universe. This is his world. He built it. He is God. And what he says goes. There's no room for loosening the line. Which is sad because, like Tom said, you see how great MJF is on the mic. There's no way in hell he sits down before he goes out there with a script that was handed to him by a writer and goes, all right, I got to memorize this before I go out there. And I got to make sure I read this. I got to make sure I read this word for word, line for line. Let's go. But that's what you do in the WWE. You're handed a script and you better not waver. Dean Ambrose talked about that.
He did.
You can't ad lib, you can't waver because you'll hear about it.
Yeah, and it's a testament to, again, like who knows Alec Ransom better than Alec Ransom? Not me, not fucking Joe Schmo in the writer's room, not anybody else. Like, that's the same thing with the talent. You, like, obviously, you have your writers and you have your base outline of like, okay, we want you to hit this point, and this point. Let them go out there, because how else are they going to learn to get better at promos than besides actually cutting a promo and really having to work for it? Like, exactly. I think that, honestly, I think this is why we see so many great talents in NXT that, are good the ring and good on the mic and everything like that. And then they come up and flounder in mid-card obscurity. It's because down in NXT, they have them go through these promo classes and stuff like that. Like, if you watched any behind the scenes stuff or whatever, so many people, before Dusty had passed away, rest in peace, they said what a great teacher he was. And sometimes even if he didn't get what you were trying to bring to the table, like if he didn't understand your character necessarily, if it wasn't his cup of tea, as long as you did it to the best of your ability, he said, hey, baby, run with it. It's so infuriating. I feel you, Kevin Owens. I feel your frustration, man. Fuck.
Fuck. But no, Tom, what are you streaming tonight?
Me and Classic and Current Gaming are going to be finishing up Halo 4 tonight. I'm not sure what we're doing next week. I think we might just do some random Halo multiplayer or do some other stuff online on Game Pass or whatever on the Xbox. Then we're going to take a break because he's going to be getting married and shackling himself to the old ball and chain and dragging down the aisle. But yeah, we're going to take a small break from that, and we'll come back, and then we'll...
Who would do such a thing?
Who would do such a thing? I don't know. Fucking crazy people, I'll tell you.
Dummies.
But no, we're going to take a small break after we complete Halo 4 before we get back into Halo 5. And then who knows? I don't know. We'll see.
So Halo 5 is so good.
I have never played 4 or 5, so this is still my first storyline playthrough on Halo 4.
Just the controls on Halo 5 are so much better. It's the best Halo game made.
Nice. I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to it. And I'm getting I've apparently used my influence to get Classic and Current Gaming to download World War Z. So I'm building a small zombie apocalypse army of my own, and I think I'm gonna have to move into another night of World War Z co-op stuff because I'm gonna be getting more and more people that want to play. So
man, it takes someone really talented to get people to download a bad game. Congratulations, Tom.
What?
I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I was about to jump through that computer.
Is it true what they say? Is Tiger Bomb Tom building an uppercut?
That was... You're reaching for that one. Keep reaching.
Combo breaker.
Keep reaching, especially for that brass ring too.
Uppercut.
Oh, never gonna happen.
All right. Well, you fellas have a great rest of the podcast. I look forward to hearing the remainder of it, and I'll catch you when I catch you.
All right, sounds good. Bye, Tom.
All right, later.
Hey, speaking of disappointments,
AEW. No.
So no, actually, that's exactly where I was headed. No, that's exactly where I was headed.
Oh, dear.
The more that I look back and really try to experience All Out again, the more disappointed I become.
Oh, snap.
Because All Out is their WrestleMania. Let's not be coy about this. This is their biggest show of the year. And this did not feel like that. They really WrestleMania 2'd it. Have either of you seen WrestleMania 2 recently?
No, but I've seen WrestleMania 9 and it was terrible.
Oh,
Do
dear.
you know why you haven't seen WrestleMania 2 recently? Because it's fucking terrible.
Was that the one that took place in 3 different arenas?
Yep. And the main event was Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy in a big blue cage.
Cage of Doom.
Big blue box.
So, I'm not going to compare All Out to WrestleMania 2 because I don't think that's fair. I will say, I did. You're right. I made an allusion to it.
Retcon.
I will say that I believe that it's probably influenced a little bit by COVID. I think that had it took place in Chicago like it was supposed to, it may have been a little bit of a bigger show. But, I mean, realistically, like, one of your biggest matches was about a guy getting thrown into a tub of orange juice. Like, I get it. It's funny. Ha ha ha. And it was a decent match, but I mean, at the end of the day, it was the crux was very, I don't know. And I mean, again, the Matt Hardy thing is going to cast a pall on it. So, like, forever and a day, they'll be able to say, oh, well, that was the event that Matt Hardy got hurt and that whole big dust up on Twitter and everything. So, like, that's a convenient little crutch for them. But realistically, it feels like the only ones who brought their A game that night were Omega, Hangman, FTR, Moxley, and MJF. The rest of the card just kind of felt like they were going
Going where?
Go on. What beef?
Welcome to the Matrix.
The suspense is killing me.
While
gone.
we're waiting for Beef to, reconnect his bullshit. Did you feel the same way, Poot? Were you disappointed with All Out?
No, but I was underwhelmed, and that's and I think the problem is it didn't feel as big time as it should have. I felt like with the fact that they consider, or we consider, like, just in general, All Out being their WrestleMania, and it's their, like, big deal show, they should have gone bigger. Like, they were in Daly's place. They had the room. They could have done more pyro. They could have done a different set. They could have done, something just bigger. But it felt like to me, it felt like an episode of Dynamite, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it was also just, matches were messy. There were a lot of botches that night. And I mean, they started early with Matt Sydal screwing up his shooting star press, which, by the way, on Being the Elite, they've made that kayfabe.
I saw that,
which is hilarious.
That's funny.
And he's back. They leaned into it. You know what I mean? And you say what you want about Matt Sydal. He doesn't necessarily have the best attitude.
Oh, really?
Apparently, like apparently he's a really nice guy, but he
knows his own worth.
I was going to say he big leagues. Like, he tends to big league. I mean, to be fair, as he should, he is really good. But if you're going to walk the walk, you better be ready to talk that talk 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Not saying you can't screw up. They're humans and they're imperfect. But I think it was because it was apparently, 110 degrees, and the humidity levels was like 9 billion. So, like, everything, you have all the, you have a battle royal, you have so many sweaty guys doing sweaty things in a ring. Ropes are going to get messy, and you can't predict that. I mean, how many times have we fallen down and, fucked ourselves up? Like, and it was like, how did I do that? You know what I mean? Like, I have 10 specific incidences I can think of for myself. But regardless, it felt sloppy, and it felt like there was like an anxiety there, and it didn't feel as big time as it should have. I even said that whenever we did our All Out review. Like, I mean, I said, I was like, this is kind of underwhelming.
It's just been kind of sticking in my craw a little bit. I don't know what you heard, but basically my thought is that the only ones who really brought their A game that night were Hangman Omega, FTR, Mox, and MJF. I felt like everybody else was just kind of going through the motions, which, you know, echoes your sentiment about it kind of being a big league Dynamite. Like it felt like one of those the pay-per-views they did over the summer that they did on Dynamite, the Fight for the Fallen and Revenge of the Sith.
I think you really do. Okay, first of all, Jericho's A game is so high, like that's not fair. Second of all, I think your opinion of the match, the Mimosa match, was it the greatest match in the world? No, but I think those two did a good job.
I don't think it should have been as high in the card as it was. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's me getting wrapped up in this whole, like, I don't see anything with Orange Cassidy. Maybe it's me just kind of... Because, yes... So, here's my problem. Earlier this year, AEW put out Revolution. Revolution, I thought, was the best pay-per-view that I've seen in probably 3 years or so.
Ooh.
Yeah, like, start to finish, it was an amazing pay-per-view. And Full Gear last year was really fucking good, too. So, like, their last... And I don't... What was the one
That was the Mox
summer?
Omega hardcore match, right? Yes,
at Full Gear, yep. And I think it was Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers.
Yeah.
So, like, that... Like, Double or Nothing was good. It wasn't anything to write home about, but it was enjoyable. You know, I looked at it and I said, okay, that was fun. I just feel like All Out didn't have the oomph to put it over.
Chutzpah.
Exactly. It didn't have the balls. And a lot of that...
Well.
So a lot of people are going to say, oh, it's because of the humidity, and it's because of this, that. You know, to be real, I think a lot of the problem was booking. It felt kind of wonky to me, like the way the matches were set up and who was where. I think that the tag team title should have been a 3-way match with the Bucks added in there. I think that while Mox and MJF was good, I don't know that it was that
it wasn't
ready for that spot.
It wasn't as good as it could have been. Like they did a decent job, and by any other standards, it would have been really
I thought it was
strong.
A great match,
but it didn't. I think. Do you think maybe the problem is our expectations were so high?
No, man. Like I thought it was a great match. I think they exceeded my expectations for the match, but the problem is that it was
I meant
way
for
too
the event.
soon for. Oh, yeah, probably. To be honest, but I mean, again, like this is their WrestleMania. Like when they put out stuff like Revolution and Full Gear, which are, theoretically B pay-per-views compared to what Double or Nothing and All Out are. This should be like their biggest. So yeah, like when we look at All In and we look at the last All Out, there's an expectation there that you're really going to get something special. So it just, I don't know, man. It just stuck in my craw the last couple of weeks, and I think to myself, It could have been better.
So look, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you take the average WrestleMania, not the best WrestleMania, not the worst WrestleMania, but if you average WrestleManias as a whole, where does the average WrestleMania stand up to this year's All Out? Is All Out better, or is All Out worse than the average WrestleMania? I'm just asking you this question because I didn't see All Out. That was one of the few nights where my parents had both kids, so it was a date night, and I wasn't going to force Tara to sit through a $49.99 gimmick infringement pay-per-view, when we could be watching something else. so I didn't watch.
I mean, so Omega and Hangman and the FTR was probably one of the matches of the year. I still think that Omega and Hangman versus the Bucks at Revolution was better, but it's honestly a toss up. Mox and MJF was a really good main event. I think it's better than your average WrestleMania, to be honest. But I think that Poot's right. I think that expectations are a lot higher with AEW because we know what they're capable of. I mean, look at Dynamite last night. It was a great show. And, AEW does a good job on the weekly to make you tune in and go, man, what a great show. That is frustrating whenever their biggest show of the year kind of goes over like a fart in church.
But the thing is, I don't think AEW right now, because what pay-per-views they have All Out, Full Gear, Double or Nothing, and Revolution. 4. They literally have 4 pay-per-views versus the 900 gajillion.
They've also used Fight for the Fallen and
Fyter Fest.
Fyter Fest.
Okay,
right.
Fight for the Fallen and Fyter Fest. Those, okay, so 6. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. They have 6. That's one pay-per-view every 2 months. I think they view every pay-per-view as this is going to be the best that we can do. I know All Out because it was All In and All Out were 2 different things. Like that, All In was not AEW, but All Out was, and I get that that's kind of establishing that was their big pay-per-view, that was their swan song for the year, kind of restarting storylines or whatever or what have you. I don't think that they view their pay-per-views that way. I think they just view them as, okay, this is where shit comes to a head and it crescendos, now let's bring it back down, and it's more of a sawtooth pattern for every pay-per-view versus build over the whole year and then have things explode. I think they view every pay-per-view as valuable.
So you don't think they consider their All Out to be WrestleMania?
They probably, backstage, and for the guys, it's like, okay, All Out is like, this is the one for us. But I think, honestly, from storytelling purposes and stuff, they don't view any pay-per-view as more special than the other. That's conjecture. That's all conjecture. But
that's a wonderful point. Let me tell you 2 things that I would have done that I think would have made the pay-per-view better.
So you're saying it would have been better to you?
Well, and you guys can tell me if I'm right or wrong. First off, I would have not, and I still think that they're kind of dragging their feet with this whole Omega and Hangman thing. I would have had the breakup happen earlier in the summer, put the titles on the Bucks, and then have the Bucks and Revival go 1-on-1, 2-on-2 for the tag team titles, and have have Hangman versus Omega as a singles match there. And then I think that I would have moved Cody versus Brody Lee to the pay-per-view as well. I would have left that match exactly as it was, Brody Lee completely dominating Cody, but I think that would have been a much bigger moment on a pay-per-view versus on a Dynamite before the pay-per-view. Those 2 things, I think, would have made the event immeasurably better. Thoughts?
I don't know, man. I like the slow burn. I like the slow burn that they're doing with Omega and Hangman. I like that it's not. I know. I know you don't like it, but I think it's because you're such an Omega fan and you want that singles push and you want the cleaner. I get it. And you're also a Bucks fan, so you want to see more Bucks in action and everything. That's cool. And I'm not criticizing you for that, despite the fact that you're dumb. Oh, no laugh. They took that seriously. It's more the fact that I think I kind of like the direction they're going with this, where they're like, Omega sat down with JR and said, I think it's time for me to get back to singles action. I think it's time that we're just done. And, like, I went, oh, okay, so they're just going to end this as Omega deciding it's time to part ways. But they're still holding on to the drama of it, and I like that, where it's like, okay, this ended amicably. No, it's not. You're going to have the come back around yelling, screaming, punching, chair shots, angry Omega, and that's going to push him into the cleaner gimmick. I like this. We had been saying we wanted slow burn stories. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You're not Vince McMahon. Like,
there's slow burn and then there's beef going up a hill. Like,
oh, that's pretty slow. That's slower than molasses in January.
That was the old man.
Does molasses go fast on a summer Sunday? Go.
What do you guys think? They're doing another takeover here coming up on October the 4th.
Oh.
Right? That's kind of my thought too. Oh, really? It's another one of those weird Sunday joints that they're doing it, like where if you guys remember Triple H's little thing earlier this year, where he was like, "Oh, we want NXT to have their own identity, but we also want them to, run on pay-per-view weekends. So, let's have our cake and eat it too." But yeah, like they're like the first time that NXT did that this year was at Oregon, right? Was it Portland?
The Oregon Trail.
And it was a great event. So like I always have faith in NXT, but I definitely feel like this one is like being ham-fisted in there a little bit. I don't know if that's
payback.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know if that's in relation to something that AEW is doing or not doing. AEW is treating their anniversary show like a pay-per-view. So, like, it could be in response to that. I don't know, but yeah, they announced it, I think, earlier this week. Takeover on October the 4th, and I'm like, that's weird. All right, well, okay. And then next week on NXT, they're doing another women's battle royal to determine the number one contender, and they're doing some like weird fucking like gauntlet match to determine the men's number one contender. So it feels a little short-sighted to me. Like WWE, like literally Vince said to Triple H, "Hey, let's put something big out there to try to combat AEW's big event that they're doing for their anniversary." Not that it's on the same night or anything. It's just, that's how it feels to me.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest.
It just,
really
like, your reaction was my reaction. I was like, oh, really? Another one? Like, not that I don't enjoy seeing NXT having, like, a big event, but, like, that's why I think that they're special, is because we get them on, like, Royal Rumble weekend, WrestleMania weekend, SummerSlam weekend, Survivor Series weekend, like, maybe one here and there throughout the year, maybe two, but, like, this is uncharted territory. So, like, I was 100% okay with it being not happening again until War Games, which who knows if that's going to happen again this year or not with COVID. But, yeah, I mean, they announced it. I'm like, that's okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm sure I'll watch it. I'm sure I'll enjoy it, but it just seemed off to me. What say you, Poot?
Yeah, it's a little odd. I'm taking the Ransom approach on this one. You guys kind of covered it. It's a little, yeah.
My hope is that this is a one-off. Like, this is a one-off incident, and that it's, right where Beef was talking about, it's something to try to combat something that AEW is doing. I really hope that's it. I'm as much as I think the NXT events are better than the average WWE main roster pay-per-view, I think that's because there is so much time in between the NXT takeovers. You don't have one every month. I think if you began to have them every month, they might start to grow stale. So my hope is that this is a one-off and not something that's going to be reoccurring, where it's like, oh, like every 1 or 2 months now, we're going to start having takeover events. My worry is that it begins to get stale, like, oh, it's a WWE pay-per-view every month, and sometimes back-to-back weekends, whatever.
I think another problem is that I'm just not really invested in any of the champions. I love Balor, and I think he's going to have a good run, but I also really want to see him get creative with it and bring back the Demon, or do something more than I think he's doing with the Prince right now, because it's very.
I think you're going to see Balor build a little army around himself. I really do.
I would at least like to see him do some face paint or something. Like if he's gonna call himself the Prince, I'd like to see him bring back some of the Prince Devitt stuff.
Is he gonna do a Balor Club?
I don't know. I mean, he kind of already called his fans that on Raw, so
Yeah, but
I think when he was,
it was more. In my opinion, it was more facetious.
Yeah, it was. You're not wrong.
Oh, okay.
So there's that, and again, he just won the title, so obviously he's probably going to keep it, because NXT doesn't believe in hot-shotting titles unless they absolutely have to.
So do you think it goes back to Cross though once Cross is back?
I think it has to. I mean, to me, damn it, there it is again. They put their eggs in his basket, I think a lot of that came with Vince saying, "Hey, Keith Lee is ours." Yoink.
Oh, jeez.
But I think that they were definitely eyeing up Cross for a big push. So, yeah, he's gonna have that title back when he comes back. Io Shirai is a weird. So I've enjoyed her. I think that all of her title matches have been good.
Her match with Shotzi Blackheart was really good.
It was really good last night. Yeah, for sure. Her match with Tegan was really good too. But I'm just not invested in her. And Breezango as the tag team champions, I could really give two shits less about them. In practice, I would much rather see anybody else hold those titles, because like Breezango to me are guys who are enhancement talent on NXT. The guys who were on the main roster and came back down to try and, get the young guys, quote unquote young guys, and the product over.
And that's not what Finn Balor did?
I think, honestly,
I think his stories.
I think it was Triple H saving Balor.
Okay.
I really do.
I think his story is a little bit different. Yeah, I think this is more about redeeming himself than it is putting the young kids over on NXT. He really hasn't put a lot of people over during his run down here this time. He's really gotten a lot of big victories. So
okay.
But Breezango has been down there kind of eating a lot of losses and things. And again, Breezango's fun. I don't hate them. They're fun to watch. But Imperium, I think is a great place to start with those titles. I think Legado del Fantasma is a worthy team to have them. It's funny, what the hell are the Indian dudes, and I don't remember their names, but they were the ones that leaked the Kevin Owens.
Buffalo.
Yes, they are not Kevin Owens. The Keith Lee, the Keith Lee winning the title, and the reports
Singh
were,
brothers, by the way.
No, it's not the Singh brothers.
Oh.
No, I'm talking about the big dudes with the long hair.
I got
something.
I have no idea what you're on about.
They were the big Indian dudes. They look like AOP, but they have long hair, and they're obviously Indian.
Think you're having a stroke, Beef.
No, man. That black guy with the Beetlejuice eyes was the manager. Okay. Anyway, so they're the guys who one of them was the one who leaked to Kevin. Damn it! The fucking
Boy, you're
Keith
having a
Lee
tough time.
photo. Yeah, I may be having a stroke. I don't know. They're the one of the ones who were one of those is linked the Keith Lee photo, and immediately the report came out. Oh yeah, no, there's no heat on them at all. Haven't seen them since. But it looked like they were going to get a big push. I'd be okay with them winning the titles. So like right now, I fucking forgot the North American title. How's that feel? Like, Damian
Who has
Priest.
that?
Damian Priest.
Okay.
Him and Thatcher had a good match last night.
They had a great match, and I honestly am kind of coming around on Damian Priest.
Oh, I'm a big fan. Yes, him as a face, as like an anti-hero, like I don't give a fuck about you. I'm just here to rock and roll kind of guy. I'm a fan.
I feel like
He's
the packaging
probably
could be
the
a little
one-
different,
Yeah, maybe.
like just the
But
look
he's-
and everything. But regardless,
He's honestly the one that the champion that I care the most about. So maybe it's the fact that I just don't care about the champion on NXT right now. And again, knowing that Balor's reign is just starting, we'll see. So I don't know,
dude. I feel like you are so hard on now being hard on the main roster products, stuff like Raw and SmackDown. That's fine. But like, dude, I feel like you're so hard on NXT and AEW sometimes.
Well, and
Like-
that's because
I think he just expects a lot out of them.
and to be fair, like we spend 85% of this podcast railing on WWE and Vince McMahon. If I'm not going to hold the same scrutable nature to NXT and AEW, then what are we doing? Like, I'm not going to be a fanboy, and I am a fanboy for AEW for sure. But it's not fair for me to sit here and pretend like they don't have flaws. And yes, maybe I'm making too much of those flaws, but again, I'm a talking head, so it's what I'm doing. I'm making a lot out of nothing that may be there to try and create some controversy. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, but that's dumb.
Yeah, maybe. No, but I mean,
I get, like, that's the thing is, like, I think that's a good thing that those, I will say on one hand, that's good that those brands deserve, and those products deserve a little more stricter criticism. But, okay, the one that I'm least hype on, admittedly, and I feel bad saying this, is Io Shirai, because I love the current packaging of Io Shirai. I like the whole thing. I just feel like it's kind of like, why though? Like, why is it not
Rhea Ripley?
Rhea Ripley. Like, it should be Rhea Ripley, and it's not. That's the one, and it's nothing to take away from Io Shirai. Like I said, she's incredible. But like, it should be Rhea Ripley right now. And as far as the North American title, the tag belts, and I think it was kind of weird that they chose to take them off of Imperium, but these are weird times right now, and Imperium is literally kind of on the back burner because of COVID. I think that Breezango having them, though, it's fine. I wish they would do a little bit more with it other than have them come out and win. They should have them do promos. They should have them do something, have it be a little more interesting. But I like the titles on Breezango. I said my piece about Damian Priest. I think it's good. I think he's doing a good job, and I think there's a lot of room for growth with him. And as far as the NXT Championship, man, Balor having it is awesome, because I'm sitting here just going, I can't wait to see what Balor does with this run. I can't wait to see where this goes, what happens with it, and it's interesting. Yeah, it's not Karrion Kross, and it's a shame what happened with Karrion Kross. However, I mean, putting it back on Adam Cole, I'd have been happy because I like Adam Cole, but it would have just kind of been more of the same of what we had. And it's like having filet mignon for a year and a half. You know what I mean? Eventually, you get tired of it. So now, having Balor there, I go, with him having this freedom of the Prince character and everything, I'm hyped to see where it goes. And I love seeing it as, like, it's the the old master who came back to have it, and now he has it. And he cut that promo this week about, like, before it was about building the brand, it was about the media appearances. Now the brand needs me, and it's like, oh, I love this. I can't wait to see where it goes.
I love the last line. Anybody who comes at me better look both ways before crossing the prince.
You better look both ways before crossing the prince. That's
Is he a face or a heel?
Yes.
He's kind of a tweener, but I think that maybe that's the problem, is that all of them, because he's basically more or less a face. All of their titles are on more or less faces. Breezango's definitely a face. Damian Priest is kind of like the hey, I'm a cool heel face. I think he's officially a face now. Io Shirai used to be a heel, but now apparently she's a face. The same with Balor. By the way, that tag team's name is Indus Sure, managed by Malcolm Bivens, Saurav Gurjar, and Rinku Singh.
Listen, I can make up words too, Beef, okay?
I hate you.
Yeah, Worgity Gorgity and Oobity Boobity. Bam.
That you didn't make that. I made up Worgity Gorgity.
You didn't make up shit. Hey, listen.
No.
Is there...
Nope.
What was that article that you posted there, Beef, in the chat about WWE Creative not having anything for Keith Lee?
Oh, yeah. Hey, speaking of great NXT success stories, I mean, yeah, so reportedly, Keith Lee comes up and beats Randy Orton clean at a pay-per-view, and you're like, oh, man, that's fucking awesome. And then he is immediately like in the main event scene. You're like, yes, this is good. And then you realize that all the rest of his televised matches are going to no contest, or he's losing by disqualification. And report came out this week that they don't really have any plans for him. They're just kind of flying by the seat of their pants. Raise your hand if you're surprised.
We've seen this song and dance before with NXT call-ups.
No.
Yep. And
Again.
100%. 100%. It's because he wore that Black Lives Matter vest at In Your House.
It's not because of that.
And Vince goes, hey, you know what we need? A strong black man on our programming. Barbie Lashley.
Barbie Lashley?
So
yeah, pretty much.
Vince, though, yeah. No, don't insert Darby Allin like that. So
what?
Vince saw this as an opportunity to cash in on a social issue and really, grab somebody who people were gravitating to. I mean, everybody in the wrestling world was and is in love with Keith Lee right now. But I mean, here we are again, where they got him, and now what?
So, do you think that this... I'm rehashing once again. Sorry. But I'm rehashing once again. Do you think this is a fluke? Because of the aforementioned reasons that, Beef threw out with the, we need a strong black guy on our roster. Let's never mind about the Hurt Business. Which I think that's a stupid name to begin with. But, let's never mind them. We need Keith Lee. Do you think, like, him coming up, starting out strong in the main event picture, now we don't know what to do, is a fluke on Keith Lee? Because I harken back once again, and I'm going to keep harkening back to this until I'm proven wrong. Adam Cole, baby. Do you see it happening with him? Or is this completely different situation with Keith Lee? Adam Cole's going to be fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, they're already isolating the rest of the Undisputed Era. If you watch, there was the thing where Jake Atlas got attacked, and Kyle O'Reilly was there to break it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're starting to kind of push everyone in their own little direction.
So are you assuming, or maybe not assuming is the right word, are you anticipating that when a call-up happens, There very well could not. There very well could be just an Adam Cole call-up, not an Undisputed Era call-up.
Boy, that'd be a bad decision.
Yeah, that'd be a bad call, but
Don't you think breaking up Undisputed Era in general is a bad call?
I do.
Okay.
So, first of all, let me say this. It would not shock me if they put Keith Lee in a triple threat match with Orton and McIntyre at Clash of Champions, and Keith Lee walked out with the belt. I would not be shocked.
Oh.
Likewise, I would not be shocked if he ate a pin next week on Raw, the week after, at Clash of Champions, the week after that, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. Nothing would shock me with the main roster and NXT guys anymore. Because I'm numb to it, man. Like, it's
happened so much.
Yeah, they can only cut off so many hands before I'm like, oh, you know what? Fuck it. Go ahead. Take a foot. Go ahead. You want to take my right ass cheek? Have at it, man. I don't need it.
Well, just the right one, though. You'll sit all lopsided.
Just the right one. Exactly.
I'm cattywampus.
You know, it can only happen so often before I just don't care anymore. And that's kind of where we're at. Like, I don't watch Raw. I don't watch SmackDown. I read the results because I'm like, I should probably at least know a little bit. I watch the pay-per-views because, hey, it's something to do on Sunday night. Now the football's back. We'll see what happens with that.
Wow.
But, well, I mean, is there a reason for me to watch pay-per-views?
Yeah, you got a good point there, Beef.
Because it's fun.
Because it's something to do. You know what else is something to do? Football. You know what's more enjoyable than stupid wrestling? Football.
Not football.
If it's AEW, I'm going to watch AEW. If it's NXT, I'm going to watch NXT. But if it's WWE...
Podcast.
The problem is football's garbage, but, you know, what do I know?
Okay. My point here is that I have other options. So, like, I don't know, man.
Do you think that becomes a problem?
I talk big.
Well, do you think that becomes a problem, like you're saying, Beef? Now with football back, now you've got some options. Do you think that becomes a problem with WWE? Do you think the more options that come back, the more eyes that are not going to be on the product? Or is that
ratings were down on Monday. Well, ratings were down on Monday night, so, I mean...
Oh, dear.
Now, yes, you know, the Pittsburgh Steelers, obviously, are a very popular brand. So, obviously, they're going to get a lot of Monday night views. So, you know, who knows? I don't know what the matchup is next week. But, like, you know, the fact that it's the first week and people are already kind of, like, jumping ship does not portend well for Monday Night Raw going forward.
People are
Would
really...
not shock me if we start seeing AEW ratings cresting that of WWE. Or that of Raw, anyway.
Speaking of AEW ratings, why don't we talk about AEW this week? Specific, Ransom, I'm sorry, unless you had something else to add.
No, you're good,
I want to talk about at least one thing from this before we get too long in the tooth. That parking lot brawl was fucking incredible.
It was pretty fucking good.
It was real good. Man, best friends are so good. Like, I love them. I love
Is Orange Cassidy still with them?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Matter of fact, he showed up.
Yep. I have a real big problem with JR saying this is the best, you know, I don't know if he said parking lot brawl or the best whatever that I've called in my career.
Wow.
I think that, and he could be right. Even Mick Foley went on the Twitterverse or whatever the hell he used.
Twitter space.
To praise that for being a good, like, hardcore style match.
Ooh.
Like one of the best he's seen in a while. So, like, Poot's not wrong. It is not without merit. It was a great match. It was very fun. And again, we should not be surprised. It's Beretta, it's Chuck Taylor, and it's fucking LAX. So, like, there's no reason why those four guys shouldn't absolutely kill it. Yeah, you know what? It's the same as the fucking Revival. Like, it's the Revival. It's not FTR.
XLAX. Yeah. All right, but No, but it was
I
phenomenal.
don't like somebody like JR saying this is the best X that I've ever seen. It feels forced. So that I didn't like. But yeah, I mean they killed it, man. They're doing a lot of good things right now. Archer and Jake, man, you give that mic to Jake the Snake, and it's always gonna be great, man. He's great, still. So like the bit that they did with Taz and Mox and having Ricky Starks and Brian Cage jump them in the in the crowd. That was great. That's what I'm saying, man. Like AEW can put on an amazing show, a fucking amazing Dynamite show in the middle of a week, just for whatever purposes. That's what makes All Out being what it was kind of frustrating.
Okay, I'm not trying to steer you away from talking about how you were frustrated with All Out, but I'm steering you away from talking about how frustrated you are with All Out.
I'm just saying.
And that's fine. But like the thing with AEW, like week to week, they always leave you happy. They always do.
True.
They always seem to leave you feeling good and feeling happy and feeling content. Because I was watching this week and I was like, all right, this is okay. This is pretty good. All right, I'm entertained. Like, I'm sports. Oh, let's talk about, dude. How good was Kazarian Hangman?
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Good
that's what I'm saying.
Lord.
Like,
it was barn burner.
They turn
of a
it
match.
on, man. They do. They turn it on. It's weird that Jericho is tagging with Swagger.
They got to give Swagger something, man. I guess.
I guess. I just like I wish that there was like, and don't fucking pelt stones at me about this, but I wish there was like a fight title in AEW, like a title based around like shooting, and I'm not talking like Brawl for All. I'm talking
Raw
like
Underground.
it's sort of like that, but I mean with believable guys like Archer, like Cage, like Swagger. What's his name? The dude who's tagging with Moxley next week. He just signed a big. He just signed an agreement.
Was it Will? I can't remember, but his thing is willpower.
Right, him. Like and even guys like Darby Allin who like are scrappers and could like kind of go till they're dead. Like, I think that something like that would behoove them. Maybe that's something that they can do for the FTW title. I don't know.
You think they have enough guys to kind of be in that sort of division?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I do, and I think that they could. Brody Lee's another one. That they could base, and they could drop people out, pick people in and out, as needed. It's just it's right now the problem with AEW is that it feels like there's a lot of talent, kind of like in weird little groupings. I don't know. Maybe I'm just scrutinizing it too hard. I thought that AEW and NXT last night were both phenomenal. I thought they were both great shows. I love Thunder Rosa's match with Eva Lise last night.
That was good as well.
I thought that was really good. And then obviously on the other channel, as you mentioned, EO versus Shotzi was great. Thatcher versus Archer was a great main event. And then you had some good stuff in between. So yeah, I mean,
Well, let me pose this.
Both shows really do a good job with the weeklies, I think.
Let me pose this to you about AEW. What? Okay, like AEW. How long until? Not on the product. I'm not talking about the product. How long until the bubble bursts when they have so much talent that they can't get anyone over? Like, really, think about it. Think about how deep their roster is already. Like, I remember when they announced when they announced their roster from the get-go, I was kind of like, wow, that's a lot of people, and they only have a 2-hour show. How are they going to get people over? To be fair, they have AEW Dark, which is fine, but I'm just kind of like, you know.
I agree, and that's kind of what I was going. Where it's kind of like people like you have Pentagon, who I think is one of the greatest wrestlers in the world, who's on the back nine of his career. He doesn't have many years left, and you're putting him in a not just a tag team now, but in a stable, a great stable. I love Eddie Kingston. What a fucking like breath of fresh air he is. But like, you know, so you have him mired in that. You have Brody Lee in a mid-card division, which is good, and then you have guys like Miro, who hasn't wrestled yet. Matt Cardona, who, you know, has been here, there, everywhere. Scorpio Sky, who has all the talent in the world, and we haven't seen him. So it's just, you're right. That's what I'm saying. There are too many cooks right now. I think that they would benefit from a second show, and reports are that a second show is coming.
Good.
There, you know, obviously there's that big turnover with the exec at
TNT.
WB, what Warner Brothers,
Warner
getting
Brothers.
ousted.
Yeah.
So like that may have a bearing, and reportedly COVID has a lot to do with it too. So, you know, hopefully the ratings continue to improve. They were just under 900,000 this week, which is pretty good. Wish they would have kept it over the million mark, but that's okay. You know, 900,000 is nothing to sneeze at. Hopefully they'll continue improving and get another show for all these people who need it.
Let me ask you this. We've touched on before how, you know, 3 hours is too much when it comes to Monday Night Raw. Do you think a 3-hour Dynamite likewise would still be too much? Or do you think AEW would be able to handle that 3-hour block better than WWE?
I think the answer is yes to both questions.
I actually agree with Beef. I mean,
I think that AEW would do gangbusters with it, but I think that realistically, if it's not a pay-per-view, if you have like network interruptions, like commercials, and even the windowed commercial bullshit aside, like it does not feel the same. So 3 hours is a long attention span to try and keep somebody interested in something. So I think AEW would do great with it, but yeah, I don't see the need for it. I'd rather see a second unique show, and even if you want to have a quote unquote brand split where you have some people on one night and some people on another, I'm fine with that. Like they have enough talent and a deep enough roster that I think that they could get away with that.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Poot.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I think here's the mentality, and I won't go on this. I actually have a little piece of news that came up, or something to postulate, but that's a little bit later. Do you think, not even do you think, it's, I lost my train of thought. Okay, I'm back. Here's the mentality, and I'll keep it simple. WWE looks at the third hour and goes, shit, what are we going to do? AEW would look at a third hour and go, oh man, we got a whole nother hour. You know what I mean? It's mentality.
Agreed.
Especially with the amount of talent and the freedom they have, they could make it really interesting. It would be 3 hours of wrestling I would want to sit down and fucking watch. You know?
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's really it. I think it's mentality. WWE, it feels like it's a burden to them. AEW would be a boon.
So going off that line of thinking, do you think it would more come down to not AEW being able to fill that third hour productively? Do you think it would all boil down to whether or not the fans have that 3-hour attention span on a weekly basis? Do you think that's where the problems might seep in?
No, if the programming's interesting, I think people will watch for however long they have to.
Oh, okay.
I don't know,
Do you think it would
man.
benefit AEW more I think Beef might have said this, and maybe I missed it. Do you think instead of doing a 3-hour Dynamite, AEW would benefit more from, all right, we keep Dynamite 2 hours and we have another show somewhere else in the week for either an hour or 2 hours?
I think
That would bode better for them.
I think another 2-hour show would do wonders for them. Or hell, even if they could put AEW Dark on TNT and have it be an hour, I'd be okay with that as well. But I think it would behoove them to have another 2-hour show. That's just me though.
I really think that they need a second 2-hour show, and like I said, I really believe. I think a brand split would do this brand justice, but the problem is that they're so new that you know, roster-wise, I think they're deep enough. But with a brand split, inevitably comes more titles.
Mm-hmm.
So, being that they're under, they're just now cresting a year old. I don't think that they could support another mid-card title or another tag team title, and certainly not another heavyweight title. I think another mid-card title may be okay. I think
like
if you have the
an
TV
Intercontinental
title,
/ European style.
Right. I think if you have the TV title and you have like an international title or what have you, like, and then down the line. And that's not even something that has to happen like tomorrow. But like down the line, I'd like to see an honest to God light heavyweight title. Or even, hear me out, an X Division style title. Where you have that frantic pace of the match, where it's like a cruiserweight match, but you can have dudes who are big and can move, like Ivar, like Kevin Owens. You can have Samoa Joe, who can compete for that title. Honestly,
are we talking at AEW or WWE?
AEW.
Okay.
AEW. I was just giving like examples of dudes who I think could pull that off.
Oh, gotcha.
If we're gonna run down the short list of things that TNA got right, the X Division title and the X Division period is the thing that I think sets them apart. There's no weight limits. There's no limits. I would love to see something like that, so that if you get a guy like Ricochet, you can capitalize on that. So that you get a guy like Matt Sydal, you can capitalize on it. But in the same breath, you can have a guy like Shawn Spears, who is technically a decent hand, come in and serve as the champion too. Or a guy like Damian Sandow, who, again, is not going to be flipping all over the place, but has a really solid work rate. So I think that something like that would be real fun for them. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I truly believe that they do need to branch out because they have a lot of talent, and especially now that they've broken up Hangman and Kenny, probably for good. Those are two other guys who I think are going to be main event stars. So there's not a lot of room there at the top of the card right now. So they got to figure some stuff out.
No, I agree with you. I have a couple a pair of quick news things if you guys are interested.
Always.
So number one, apparently Ricochet's contract is going to be coming up very soon. Apparently, and he is. Reportedly very interested in leaving WWE for whatever reason. I don't know. They've used him so well.
Boy, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah.
So I think he actually shot that down on Twitter there, Poot. Not to take the steam out of your sails, but I was excited about that because I saw that earlier today. But yeah, apparently he said on Twitter that there's no truth to that he's happy.
Oh, that he. Oh, yeah. Well, okay. We can.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
I don't know how. He could be happy.
Going on social media. Listen, okay, well then we'll just postulate this then. Would you rather see him go to AEW, Impact, or New Japan? Again, rapid fire, because the second one is actually something that is verified on Twitter. Twitter's gone. I would want to see him in New Japan. I think he would do great in New Japan.
Oh yeah, for sure, New Japan. Like I said, if AEW can get some sort of a lightweight or like an X Division style, I think that'd be a great place for him. But yeah, New Japan would be the best landing place.
Absolutely. Ransom?
If AEW could get that second show up, I'd like to see him on AEW. At the present moment, I would say New Japan, just because I feel like if he went to AEW, not that he'd get lost in the shuffle, but I don't necessarily know that he'd get the time in the spotlight that he could really capitalize on. And that's no slight to AEW. They just have a roster overflowing with talent. Not, just signed wrestlers, but legit talent. Now, my question to go off of that is, do you think they pull a what was FTR? Revival? Do you think they pull a Revival with Ricochet? Now that his contract is starting to come up, do you think maybe you start to see him back on TV a lot? You start to see a push? Like, oh yeah, we'll give you a title, we'll give you a nice big push, blah, 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 all the promises. And then once re-signed, it's, no, we have nothing for you. Just to stop you from going somewhere and making a name or, getting on TV. Because I truly believe that's what they pulled with the Revival. They're like, oh yeah, we'll give you the tag team titles, it'll be great. Get a big run, big push, you got to re-sign. Bueller?
Beef?
I don't know. Maybe. That's. But
WWE has done that, right?
Did they though? Like they gave the Revival a cheap little tag team run, yeah, but that they also had them shaving their backs on television. So.
But wasn't that after the Revival said no, they were done,
no.
They weren't going to resign?
Nope, because they did all that FTRKO stuff after the back shaving incident too, which was pretty good, and that's when they were SmackDown Tag Team Champions. So, they, and I mean, they really with Ambrose Moxley, they basically only kind of shit on him as he was one leg out the door, I think his last 2 nights on Raw, he got just killed by McIntyre. But they really haven't been burying people too much, and they really, there is a little bit of credence to that, Ransom, that they are trying to say, hey, if you stay, you can expect more of this, even though that's not going to be the fucking case, because why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free,
Mm-hmm. So you don't think they'll try to pull that with him?
I think he's too smart for that, to be fair.
Yeah. But do you think... So, I'm sorry, Beef. Did he shoot down his contract is coming up? Or did he shoot down I'm not going anywhere, I'm happy?
Quote from 5 hours ago. But seriously, where the hell did these rumors start? I've never once said that I am leaving. To anyone. So for all these quote-unquote dirt sheets out there, maybe facts check before you blast some trash on your website for some clicks, ?
Now, do you think that's just strictly to toe the company line and he's out? Or do you think he re-signs and he stays? Because, if you were him, what would you do? It doesn't seem like he's doing well. But at the same time, I don't know what his bank account looks like week to week.
Yeah, his ceiling in WWE is very low. I think that once Vince McMahon says that he doesn't see anything in you, I think that pretty much tells you all you need to know. Once you've lost Vince McMahon, you've lost WWE. Mm-hmm. So if I'm Ricochet, I'm the fuck up out of there. At least until the old man's dead. Obviously Triple H saw the value in him. He was the first? No, he beat Cole for the North American title. So clearly Triple H sees the value in him, but Yeah, I mean, it's got to be tough to serve a master like Vince McMahon, who's so fucking hot and cold, and his mood changes every other week. I think that Ricochet is probably sick of it. I think that there are probably a ton of others who are out there. Right now, the big rumor floating around out there right now is that somebody on the main roster, a quote unquote superstar, take that for what you will, is
Right.
not going to be re-signing with WWE. They've told everyone in the back that they're not re-signing. So everybody's trying to figure out who that superstar is.
So fans are assuming that that's Ricochet.
Right, he's a number. He's a name going around. Kevin Owens' name has come up because of all the frustration he has currently. So like, yeah, and again, color me shocked.
So that poses two questions to me then. The first question is, if WWE offered for Ricochet to re-sign and gave him the option, like, well, you know what, look, you re-sign. If you'd like to go back to NXT, you can go back to NXT. Do you think Ricochet stays because he was used well in NXT?
I think that'd be a selling point for sure.
And then question two is, oh, my texties. Question two is, who would you be happiest to see, quote unquote, as a superstar? What superstar, I guess, I phrased that terribly. What superstar would you be happy to see leave?
Kevin Owens.
Oh, yeah.
Without dropping a second, Kevin Owens.
Really?
Knowing that he is good friends with the Bucks, knowing that they have a previous relationship, he is somebody that I think could go to Dynamite and absolutely get what he deserves.
Do you think that's where he would wind up going?
I do, 100%. You ride the line because a lot of people, a lot of trolls, a lot of AEW trolls are out there calling Dynamite the rehashing of Impact because they're signing WWE rejects. But here's the thing, like, Impact was signing guys who were kind of at the twilight of their career, who had name recognition but little else. AEW is signing guys who are hot at the top of their career and have name recognition and all kinds of value. So while there is some merit to, saying, oh, AEW is just bringing in a bunch of WWE guys, yeah, that's true, but they're also WWE guys who didn't get a fucking fair crack and now are actually being given a chance to be creative, and it's fun. So, yeah, Kevin Owens for sure. What about you, Poot?
It would have to be KO as well. I frankly, it's just because I want a Kill Steen Kill shirt.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I feel like it would behoove Kevin Owens to let his contract run out and just take some time. And I think of any wrestler in the world, he would do this, take some time, be with his family, and just chill. And, kind of figure things out, because I think Kevin Owens could be fun in New Japan with his mouth. Like, just his promo. I think he would be a really good Gaijin heel over there. But if he did come into AEW, I'd want it to wait until they can get that second show off the ground, because I don't want more of this. We need to get as many talent on screen as possible so everyone's in a stable. Like, I get it. And maybe they're putting together so many stables because they're going to have some kind of Survivor Series sort of thing coming. Maybe. I don't know. But, like, yeah, Kevin Owens, and I would like to see him in either New Japan or AEW. I just think he's had a good run in WWE, but I feel like he's just kind of it's kind of like the toy that was fun that still occasionally gets pulled out and played with and then put back away in the bottom of the toy box. And it has no reason to be. I want to see him somewhere where he can flourish. I want to see somewhere where he has freedom. And I think Kevin Owens would be smart enough not to burn the bridge of WWE and coming out there and saying your brass ring is bullshit, shove it up your ass. I think he would come out and just be himself. I also tertiarily wouldn't mind seeing him in NXT again. Staying in the WWE ecosystem, but going, I want to go back to NXT. I wouldn't mind that at all. But
I think I'd like to see that.
Yeah, that's my take on it.
Did you say you had another piece of news, Poot?
It was just the fact that Wade Barrett signed a new contract with WWE for commentary. Or just signed a new contract with WWE. So Wade Barrett is back. And he said, it's for commentary. That's what I'm doing. But you never know. I always have a little bit of bad news up my sleeve. So wouldn't mind seeing Wade Barrett eventually maybe be, the leader of a revamped Nexus. Thank you. I was gonna say the core, but Christ alive, no.
I mean, to be fair, they already kind of have the revamped Nexus. His name is Retribution.
Yeah.
Are those all supposedly NXT guys?
If I bought if I bought Nexus on Wish.
Here's my problem with Retribution. We know it's going to be like 5 guys.
Yes,
well,
one of them is absolutely Dijakovic.
Oh, it's going to be Dijakovic. So it's rumored it's going to be Dijakovic, Dio Madden, who was the third guy? And then Mia Yim and I think Chelsea Green was one of the women. So like it's basically going to be like upstarts who are like, we're sick and tired of being, held back because of you main roster douches, blah blah blah. But here's my take on it. Like when this past Monday, there was 10, 12 of them or something. Like when rubber meets the road, there's only going to be 5 or 6 of them. Like, why do you tease having a fucking 12-man stable?
It's the same thing with
whenever there's only 12 of them.
It's the same thing with the Dark Order beef.
There's not though. Like with the Dark Order, you have Reynolds and Silver. You have Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. You have Brody Lee, Colt Cabana sometimes. You have the girl whose name escapes me. You have Seven, who's kind of like the gritty guy. And who the hell? There's another tag team I want to say in there, but most of them, I can sit here I just sat there and named the majority of them. With Retribution, it's not going to be that. You're going to see the same 5 faces every week once they're actually demasked. So I don't know, man. I just feel like it's false advertising to try and get them over, and then whenever they actually become unmasked, it's going to go over like a fucking fart in church, because everyone's going to be like, oh, wait, we thought that they were this big, tough stable that had all these people with them, but, it's just 5 of them. Okay.
Well, we'll see how that shakes out. I'm just excited to see Dijakovic do something other than lose to Keith Lee.
Do you guys want to do a Stump the Chumps real quick?
Sure.
So, Maniac's been given ransom props for getting the last one right, which I thought that was like a communal thing. I didn't think it was just ransom, so maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. Ransom did the heavy lifting on that one.
That's true. And in fact, great job on the last one, Ransom. This is from the mouth of the Maniac. Got another old WCW one for you, so this is crafted with you in mind there, Mr. Ransom. What wrestler had the longest one-time reign of the WCW Television Championship?
Oh, my. You guys want to try to talk me through this, or talk each other through it?
I mean, let's think of...
So here are the TV champs that stand out in my mind. Jericho, but I know he held it for a cup of coffee.
Yeah, his
Regal-
wasn't that long.
Regal held it for a decent bit. Austin held it for a decent bit. I think Steamboat held it for a while.
Tully Blanchard had it for a good amount of time.
Really?
Wasn't Hacksaw Jim Duggan in there too?
Dude, Tully Blanchard, that's like one of his accolades that they throw out there.
I thought the television championship came around after Tully's time.
No.
Because, like, the television championship didn't come around until they were officially WCW on TBS.
We're just talking about WCW.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm an idiot. Okay. Because I just remember that because on AEW this week, they mentioned his TV championship reign.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't. So the TV championship, I think, came around because of WCW Saturday Night, and then obviously went on to flourish because of Nitro. So it's not like it doesn't have the lineage like the rest of the titles do. I do not believe. Duggan was up there, Ransom, in the later portions. How long did Lance Storm have it?
What about
he had.
What about Steve Regal?
That's what I'm thinking. The two that popped into my mind were Regal and Austin.
I think Austin's a safe bet because they really put a lot of stock into him. They did.
They kind of like filled the basket halfway full with eggs. They're like, well, we think you could be great, so here we're gonna let you carry, half of the load and go out and show us what you got, kid. And he left.
Well, it was fair though.
He showed him what he had, and he was like, "Fuck you guys, I'm out. See you later."
Here's what I have, and I'm taking it over there.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, really, like I'm saying, like Regal and Austin are really the two that jump out of my mind, and I gotta feel like it's Regal, but like I feel like that title jumped around a lot in the Nitro era, so I don't think that it would be somebody from that era. So the one that really sticks in my mind is Regal from like the WCW Saturday Night era. That's my take.
I don't think it was from the Nitro days. I think it was from definitely before that.
Right.
I'm gonna say Austin. I'm gonna go Austin. Because
so Austin's definitely up there, I believe. One of the guys, and I think he was gone by the time the Nitro days came around, because going back and rewatching old Nitros and stuff, even Thunders, I don't remember seeing this guy. But like in the old WCW days, I think this guy was a big deal, like a big deal in the mid-card scene at least. Do you guys remember Paul Jones?
Paul Jones.
No.
Paul Jones was a guy who held, and I can't remember if it was
He wasn't Ice Train, was he? No, that was somebody else.
Ice Train?
Ice Train.
No, I don't think he was Ice Train. I only remember one of his other names. He was Mr. Florida. I don't know if he had other names other than that.
That name does not ring a bell at all for me, man. Paul Jones.
Yeah. I mean, he was...
I'm still going.
I think he was a Mid-Atlantic guy, too.
But
his name stands out to me.
I firmly. Well, what about Orndorff? I think Orndorff was television champion for a long time too.
Prior to WCW?
No, Orndorff came over to WCW. That's where he broke his neck, I think.
Yeah, but I think it wasn't his question the longest
WCW TV title.
The longest single run?
Yes, the longest one-time reign of the WCW Television Championship. Well, I think we all agree that it's before Nitro, and that would have been like there would be no point of having a TV title if they didn't have a TV deal. So that would have been WCW Saturday Night. And again, the guy that sticks out to me, whenever I think back of watching Saturday Night, I remember Steve Regal coming out with that title a lot.
He did. But I think he had a bunch of different combined reigns, and so I think Steve Austin
That
was the
could
same
be.
way. Like, I think their combined reigns were long, but I think they lost it here and there. Because didn't it flip-flop back and forth between Austin and Regal a few times? Or
It
even
may
Austin
have.
and Steamboat? No, maybe not Steamboat. Maybe Steamboat.
Yeah, Austin and Steve had a decent series.
But Paul Jones seems to stand out to me. I could be super wrong. Because I don't remember seeing him on any Nitros. And then again, I could be super wrong.
Well, why don't we? Okay, I'm going with Austin. Beef, you're saying Regal,
And
he's saying Paul Jones.
Paul Jones.
Well, let's
All
see
right.
which chump was stumped then.
Or all of us, which is more than likely.
That's a very good chance.
If Ransom gets this one, it truly shows he has way too much time in his hands. Oh my God! The
Was
answer
it
is Paul
Paul
Jones.
Yes!
368 days.
Wow.
I know my WCW. That's what I'm saying.
Dude,
Like, it was towards the end, it was very disappointing, but in its heyday, WCW was awesome.
The longest cumulative reign, by the way, is Arn Anderson with 870.
Oh my!
So
Wow.
I'm thinking Arn. Shame on
I'm
me.
thinking I'm thinking the TV title was around a lot longer than I thought it was.
like, I wish I knew anything, literally anything in the world, as well as Ransom knows obscure, weird WCW shit.
I do know WCW stuff, and I don't.
Yeah, that's super weird.
I feel
Paul
that's the thing.
Jones.
Aside from WWE, like old Attitude Era and then Ruthless Aggression Era pay-per-views. Other than those from WWE, the thing that I've watched most on the network are old WCW stuff.
Poot, to your credit, Tully Blanchard was up there. He had 3 reigns with a combined 685 days.
Oh yeah,
Paul Jones had 679. Regal had 557 with 4 reigns. Mike
was
Rotunda. Mike Rotunda was number 5 at 3 reigns with 431 or 433. Austin was 2 reigns at 431, and Steamboat was 4 reigns at 314.
Wow. Well,
Jeez.
now all we're gonna do is get WCW questions until Ransom fucks up. That's all we're gonna get.
Yeah, but don't do that. Don't do that, Maniac. Don't do that.
But, dude,
You pulled that out of fucking nowhere, bro. That was a good call.
I love my WCW deep cuts.
that's
WWE deep cuts, not so much.
man, holy shit.
I could probably nail WWE deep cuts, but yeah, man, you're fucking killing the WCW deep cuts. So that's
and
good question, Maniac.
And I've got the rest.
You're like the face of the podcast, man. You know, you're the
You
the
walked
glue
us
that-
through that King of the Ring one, though. That
man.
was primarily you and Beef.
That was just reasoning shit out. Like, I know like weird oddball like goofy facts about wrestling. Like, I don't know any like serious hardcore fan shit. I know like just like oddball dumb stuff. So, but that, I'm oddball dumb stuff. So, it fits.
It fits right in.
If it fits, I sits. Speaking of sits,
Take us home, Poot.
what?
Take us home, Poot.
I'm going to take you home. Thank you very much for listening to the P3 Podcast, everybody. We really appreciate Tiger. Beef, you go first.
Uppercut.
Now, Ransom.
Uppercut!
And my turn. Uppercut, Bomb Tom, for stopping in and being part of the first part of this podcast. We appreciate him. And thank you for being our sponsor. He is Casual Gaming Dad over on Facebook. Go check out his streams. They're a lot of fun. Casual Gaming Dad
Uppercut.
84 over on Casual Gaming Dad 84 over on YouTube and Twitch. Make sure to donate your stars as well on Facebook to him.
Uppercut.
And I'm sorry, what was that?
Uppercut.
Uppercut!
I'm sorry.
Uppercut.
And also thank you to Sean Tischler for his work with IWC and just being an all-around good dude, helping the indies stay alive here in central Pennsylvania. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to the next time we can make it out to a show, Sean. Again, I know I didn't really say it. Legit thanks to to Tom and everything for spreading the word of the P3 podcast, and also having the P3 podcast T-shirt available over in his shop at Gould Gaming, so you can get your very own P3 podcast T-shirt. They fit real nice, and they're very, very good. So you should go buy one. They are not $49.99, but if you want to pay $49.99, you certainly can. You dumb bitches out there. Make sure you like and subscribe here on Facebook. You can also check out the audio version of our podcast over on Anchor.fm or anywhere you can find good podcasts, so like Spotify, Google Podcasts, things like that. For Mr. Beef the Legend, our reigning, defending, undisputed Cruiserweight champion, that would be Beef right now for the minute, Mr. Alec Ransom, and of course Tiger. Let's do it together.
Uppercut.
Okay, he just jumped the gun.
Uppercut. Just keep saying it. Uppercut.
Tiger Bomb Tom,
Uppercut.
and myself, Poot the Bard. Have a good evening.
Uppercut.
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 Apricot. Apricot. Uppercut.
Sweep the leg.